The Atlanta Hawks have the number one overall pick. Great for them, but I have some questions now. What do they do? Because I feel like now is the point where they got to look at rebuilding, obviously. But here's what's tricky about it. I fully believe that the better player in their backcourt overall is not who the face of the franchise is. As great as Trae Young is with the number, I'm not even gonna say just the numbers because his offensive production is real, right? But I'm conflicted on him because on one end, I don't typically go into the well, you can't win with this player as your best player thing because you never know who can win until they actually do it, right? But on the other hand, I'm a strong believer of you're not going to get very far if your best player isn't a plus defender because now you have somebody who you need on the court for extended periods of time and when it matters the most, and they can get picked on, not just in the sense of mismatch hunting because that's kind of gotten overblown with the way the game gets looked at, but just being used as a chess piece in general. Maybe you throw him somewhere on the opposite side, you run this action over here and let him get lost over there, whatever the case is. I say all that to say the Hawks have a lot of stuff to figure out. They have the number one overall pick, and they have these questions about Trae Young looming. I think DeJounte Murray may be a better player as far as who you want to build a team around. But I'm gonna go to y'all because y'all have been looking into the draft. I haven't gotten a chance to yet, and I'm kind of just babbling. So, what do y'all have on the Hawks and what they should do now that this number one pick is secured?
I think every option should be on the table. This is one of those drafts where we get one of these drafts every once in a while where there's no clear cut favorite draft pick. So like they can go a number of ways. They could choose to trade one of them, trade both of them, and just restart and build around Jalen Johnson. We've heard interest. The Spurs are interested in taking one of their guards, and the Spurs got the number 4 pick, I believe,
And
and 8. So they have ammo to make trades. So you can put some stuff on the table. Hawks have kind of fizzled out after that Eastern Conference run, Eastern Conference Finals run in 2021, but. Yeah, man, they have way too many weaknesses. It's really, like you said, it's really hard to build a team around Trae, just because of everything else has to be compatible with him in mind. But if there's anybody in the league that I would want to pick to pair with Trae, number one option would be Wemby.
Yeah.
Just everything that he can do on the defensive end with size, and that's a great start. And then Trae, his passing ability, his scoring. I think if San Antonio does acquire him, that's a perfect matchup, and giving Pop a chance to have a guy like that talented and fine tune him and get him to reach his maximum potential. That's really exciting. As somebody who's a fan of a team that's in the same division as Atlanta, I'm really interested in what they do. But they have a lot of options, and I think everything should be on the table.
No, yeah, absolutely. Obviously the biggest domino that has to fall is whether they trade Trae Young or not. Like it starts there realistically because, this is a draft that's very up in the air. Personally, I think they should. I don't even know where they should go in the draft. I think it all depends on what they want to do with Trae Young. How much do they want to hand the keys to DeJounte? Are they trying to win now? Or are they trying to rebuild? Like, are they the rookie, whoever it may be, who they bring in? Are they trying to see what they have out of this rookie? Or are they just trying to get a rookie that can fill a role? And basically they think in their mind that they can compete to a certain level in the East next year. And they're just trying to find add another piece to it. I think those are all questions that need to be answered. Maybe not publicly, but within the organization prior to draft day. And in my opinion, if they should move on from Trae, because I do think some team around the league, I think has believed that he has a lot of value in him. So they're willing to offer some things. Maybe not in this draft. Maybe you want another future draft, so you could whatever it may be, but acquire assets for Trae. But I think their pick regardless should be between 3 people. I think it should be Topic, Sar, and Castle. And it completely dependent on what they want to be their identity of their franchise going forward. I think all three of those players can provide something interesting for them, whether it be, Topic basically coming in as a new point guard. Like you're trading Trae, you're getting the truest point guard in the draft, in my opinion so far, and Nikola Jokic, handing him the keys alongside DeJounte Murray. And you're going to play a slashing game because him and DeJounte, aren't really shooters like that, but they like to operate in the midi and attacking the rim kind of areas. So you're going to do that more, or you're going to get Stephon Castle and you're going to be like, DeJounte, we need you to go back to your San Antonio all defensive team ways. We're going to pair you guys with Onyeka and Jalen Johnson, and we're adding Stephon Castle, and our goal is to, keep them under 105 or 100. So it's truly fascinating to see which way they go. And obviously Sarr, I think, is personally, he's probably the best player, quote unquote, even though not to me, but I don't think they should go that way. They got Onyeka, who I think is fucking really, really good. And they got Jalen Johnson, who just blew up this year. I don't know if you move him to the 3-foot. So they got so much shit to figure out, but this is, they got blessed. They literally got blessed. It was the second highest pre-draft position jump in NBA history, aside from the 93 Magic, who were 11 and jumped up to 1. There's some teams that had better odds because the NBA redid the whole probability thing a couple years ago, but still the second highest jump since 1993. They've been whether they wanted to or not. Now they're, in my opinion, I think the NBA forced their hand to trade Trae Young in a sense. So we'll see what the fuck they do. If I was a betting man, I agree with Frankie. I think Trae is in San Antonio.
So here's my question, just real quick. Who should the pick be if they keep Trae, or who should the pick be, and who should the pick be if they trade Trae?
Oh, man. I haven't gotten into the top of the drafts yet. I think I still think they haven't decided what – I like Okongwu a lot, but I don't think they've, decided firmly that he's their 5 of the future.
Yep.
And Sarr has a lot of potential, athleticism, and I think it would benefit him, his size and his profile, and the film of what I've seen. I think he's a 4 early on anyways. He's a guy who needs to build strength and would be better suited as a weak side rim protector as he gets stronger and bigger. And pairing him with Okongwu, and I think Jalen Johnson
can move to the 3.
Can play the 3. He played a lot this season, so I think they'll be fine there. So I think Sarr should be the pick as of right now. Either way, I don't like Topic for them because you run into a lot of the same issues that Murray and Trae did, especially because they're not strong off-ball guys, and that's one of Topic's weaknesses. So I think Sarr is probably the best fit for most teams right there. Either way, I think Sarr would be the guy, and depending on what they get back from San Antonio, might change that answer too, if that's a trade.
Hello.
No, 100%. I think they should take Sarr. The Topic thing is more of like do they want to explore? Do they how much are they swinging for offensive upside? Like again, it's an identity thing. There's personally, I don't think there's a world where Topic is an elite level defender like Sarr could be just right away. However, there's not a world where if both players were to hit their offensive ceiling, Sarr is nowhere near Topic's offensive ceiling, just because he could be your point guard for, you could be an all-star caliber point guard for years to come, slashing very much like Goran when he played. Very similar games, just 1 is 6'6". So it's like, it depends what they want. Personally, I think they should go Sarr unless they're like, you know what, we gave DeJounte this contract. Our plan is also to move him at a certain time because let's face it, his contract is plus value. I think they got him for a steal. And if that's really the case and you really want to hand the keys to somebody, I think Jalen, I think Topic handling, as a, bigger point guards, bigger wings, whatever you want to call them, just bigger playmakers in general. I think that's an area where the NBA is going. And I think for that, it makes sense. But ultimately, I would take Sarr if I'm them. Like the only reason they should take Topic is if they have a very fucking clear-cut idea of just handing the keys to this kid, because he could bust. Like there's no surefire out of these three guys that I'm talking about, like there's a chance that they're just literally role players for their whole career, which is, like Frankie said, it's one of those drafts. But if you're shooting for, the only one, in my opinion, who has a glimpse of superstar potential out of those three players I named is Jokic. So
I agree. And that brings me up to my counterpoint. Like you said, Lou, DeJounte's contract is a huge plus value. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who's ready to win now. He's a borderline all-star every year. It might be best suited to just flip this shit over. Sell hard, move all your assets. Capella's got like 1 year left after this one.
Fernando played good for them this year too down the stretch.
Fernando Johnson is a surefire rotation guy in the league. Definitely looks like a starter. Our MIP candidate this year had an outstanding season. Mm-hmm. Might be just go young, like no pun intended. But they have options to just blow this shit up. I know this isn't a strong draft, but like if you look at if you can get the 4th pick from San Antonio in a trade for one of them and then move the other guy for some future assets and future young guys, mm-hmm. you could really restock and rebuild this thing. And we know they've kind of plateaued with this build as is. I would be way more interested in that, in just doing that. If I was a fan of them, and if I would just rather blow this shit up, sell high on both of them. Point guards are really, really hard to find right now. And they've got 2 of them that you can plug and play for most teams.
Yep.
So I don't hate that. Just get rid of everybody, and then just look forward to Cooper Flag probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
If that's the case, if they do for some, and this is a hypothetical, if they do end up with 1 and 4 for some reason, I think you take Sarr 1, and then 4 you take like Dillingham, and you're like,
yeah,
we got essentially. In no way am I comparing Alex Sarr to fucking Victor Wembanyama or fucking Dillingham to Trae Young, because they're not even remotely close.
No.
But we have like the super great value versions of that. We have a defensive specimen at 7-1, and then we have just a barn burner offensively in Dillingham.
And Dillingham arguably has like the most offensive upside in the draft.
Yeah. So if they do that and they end up with 1 and 4, and obviously this isn't a last year draft, but Kobe Buffkin was one of my fucking guys last year personally. Give him some fucking run too. With Dillingham, like, man, they need to make their mind up. What Frankie said, I'm for. If I'm a fan of them, like, just blow the whole shit up. Like, do what
OKC.
Do what OKC did. Do what the Wizards did practically last year when they were like, yep, Bradley Beal's gone, and I mean, honestly, nobody else was worth anything on their team. So, but yeah, just do that. Like, Daniel Gafford's gone. Like, we don't care anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Playoff Foul. I'm Kenny. I'm your Kenny Spencer, NBA, all that stuff, whatever, it doesn't matter. Make sure you subscribe to the show. I know we've been inconsistent lately. We were supposed to be back the other day, and then I got sick. That's a whole thing. Doesn't matter. Lou, how you doing today?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. We're recording this on Sunday still, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers listening. And, if you're listening and you obviously you have a mom or a mother-like figure, happy Mother's Day to them too.
Frankie, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Panthers up 3-1 in the series against the Bruins. Rudy Gobert is a fraud. No, I'm just kidding. The hell of a series we have in the Western Conference. How about you, Kenny? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I just did a guest spot on a podcast, All for the Love, with by Mariano Bivens. Shout out to him. That should be out soon. When it is out, I'll share it. We talked about the whole Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing. For anybody who doesn't know, you probably know me for talking basketball, but I like music just as much. And I actually was gonna start to cover music independently, the way I cover basketball independently now. But record labels tried to get my Twitter account deleted, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this shit. So I pivoted. So that's a quick little fun fact about me. Doesn't matter though. Let's just go ahead and get into not necessarily even the Cavs Celtics series, right? Because the Cavs are down 1-2 in that series, which is more than I expected from them. Congratulations to them for that, by the way. But I'm sick and tired of watching Donovan Mitchell get to the playoffs and have to do everything. He's in a whole new city for a whole new organization, all new teammates. Nobody there played with him in Utah, and it's the same story. What's going on?
I mean, it's tough in Cleveland. Jared Allen's got the injury, and Mobley and Garland have kind of stagnated from what they were looking like before he got there. All growth isn't linear, as all fans will recognize if you pay attention to any players' projections and stuff. Mobley's had his ups and downs. He's had great moments. Garland too. But this is really their second taste at playoff basketball. So there's lumps there. But man, like between their coach, the players, the lack of consistency and making it easy for Boston. Like Boston has a very set thing they want to get to. They want to spread you out. They want to play 4 out, 5 out if they can, and they're just going to make swing the ball around, take a lot of threes, and you want to force them to play more isolation ball. You want to keep them on one side of the floor, and Cleveland hasn't been able to do that. We've seen small backcourt struggle in the playoffs for years, so it might just be that. This isn't a good fit. I don't mind the swing. I still don't mind the swing. I still think that it was a ballsy thing to do, and they took a really good chance at an elite player. But man, it sucks to see Donovan have to do this shit by himself.
Yeah, Lou, what you got?
No, yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate Jared Allen got hurt because I think he'd be a fucking huge. He's probably been their second most consistent player all season. Huge credit to him. Just the team around him is not around him in particular is just not playing up to par. The only game they won in this series was Mobley's best game. He dominated the first half of game 2. Again, I did not think they were going to win a single game, if I'm being very honest. But they need more from guys like Tyrese Haliburton. They need Darius Garland to do more than what he's been doing. Like they need other guys to step up. They need Strus to go back to what he was doing in the regular season. Okoro hasn't showed up. It's all guys who are underperforming when it matters most. And then Mitchell is having to shoulder the load for some of these guys. And it's unfortunate because in this ring culture, a lot of shit is going to be said if Donovan Mitchell doesn't win. And realistically, it's never been his fault, man.
Yeah.
Like offensively, at least. And it fucking blows for him. And this sucks for Cleveland too. Rumors have started during this series about Mitchell wanting out and his preferred destinations, New York, Miami, wherever that may be, Brooklyn. Like it has already started and the series hadn't begun. The playoffs hadn't begun. And that was already a thing. And the only way for you to quiet that is your players show the fuck up.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate for Darius Garland because he had injuries, so I'm not going to fully get on him. There's still a very steep, I don't want to use the word decline because it just feels kind of mean, but he seemed last season like he was on his way. Like he was going to be one of the elite of the elite. Yep. And he hasn't shown it this year, whether he just didn't have a chance to because of injury or he just hasn't gotten into rhythm, but he just hasn't been the same guy. But this series, well, for one, credit to the Celtics, there's an elite team from top to bottom, but this series has kind of shown what I always say about role players and how important they are, especially in the playoff setting. Because when you think about the players they're dependent on right now as role players, it's guys who have always been inconsistent. When you talk about, as much as we like Max Strus, we know as Heat fans, very inconsistent player. Isaac Okoro, Tyrese Haliburton is like, this is going to sound mean, but he's like the face of inconsistency at this point.
Did you see that tweet where Tyrese Haliburton plays like he's got a roulette of every player in his head, and every play it rolls, and he's either Michael Jordan or Anthony Bennett or any player.
No, but that's true though. Like you just never know what to expect from him, and it's like you can't really have that when you have this superstar on your team. There's these rumors swirling about whether he wants to leave or not. He has a year under contract after this, and it's just like now is the time to, I wouldn't say win a championship because I don't think that's realistic for them, but it's time for everybody to kind of step up and kind of show what they can do, and they just haven't done it. Even Evan Mobley, who I don't get too much on because I'm saying a lot of people disappointed in his offense not developing, but I don't really know where the expectation came from. I just always look at the defense on him, but it's time for the Cavs to really figure something out. Knicks and Pacers. Now, this series is interesting. That's one of those series where nobody's lost, nobody's won a home game yet. Now, we saw the Andrew Nembhard shot. That was incredible. The Pacers just beat the Knicks to death today. I don't know how much of this game y'all saw, but the Pacers' defense looked like something, which we haven't seen all season, really. And I'm not going to say I don't know if the Knicks are outmatched, but there's a certain factor on that I'm going to get to, but I'm going to ask y'all about that series first.
Knicks kind of looked worn down tonight. Today they had there's an effect to Tibbs running his guys on short rest consistently, and Brunson didn't have it going, DiVincenzo didn't have it going, and Indiana punched them in the mouth from the get-go, winning the first quarter by 20 points, and try as they might, New York really couldn't claw back, and it wasn't anything like. The Pacers shot the shit out of the ball. Like they shot 45% from three, but Knicks couldn't really answer. DiVincenzo had a 1-for-6 scoring night from three. Brunson couldn't hit a three, and that's all from their start lineup. Precious didn't give him any threes. Hartenstein, and like you're struggling mightily off that. OG obviously missing makes a huge difference for them. But Haliburton. For the limited minutes they played, Haliburton showed out, and the Pacers' depth just outlasted them. They did a great job crowding Brunson, and a lot of the really tough shots for Brunson didn't fall tonight. But the Knicks just really looked shorthanded. They couldn't get stops. They couldn't get out in transition like they usually do. And 18% from three as a team isn't going to cut it, especially on the road. And Indiana, just took care of home court. I mean, series, like you said, nobody's won on the road yet. So series hasn't started until the road team wins a game, as the saying goes. So a lot of people counted the Pacers out early on after the Knicks went up 2-0 and the Pacers responded. So, I'm looking forward to game 5, see the adjustments. Hopefully, I don't know how long OG is going to be out. But I hope he's back soon, man. I hate the playoffs coming down to injuries, but that's how it is most of the time.
Yeah. And Lou, what do you got?
Yeah, that's the most unfortunate part is the Knicks have nobody who can replace what OG Anunoby does.
Right. Like
not a single person on that team. So it's a lot of pressure, obviously, particularly offensively for Precious to space out because he's been the guy who's been assigned those minutes. And to, try to contain Siakam without fouling and not just contain this whole Pacers offense because realistically, you're not just guarding one person. But the floor spacing is an issue. And then that means more Brunson threes. DiVincenzo has to hit, less space for Brunson to operate. It's a trickle down effect. The Knicks are clearly so much better when OG Anunoby is playing and is on the floor. So this injury, is this the last of New York? Is he going to come back? In my opinion, if he doesn't, I don't think there's a chance in hell they can beat the Pacers 2 out of the next 3 games. But it's unfortunate, man. And one of the things that I even tweeted about this, and hopefully, I don't know. I was just brainstorming and I asked, "Is T.J. McConnell the best backup point guard in the association?" I think he has an
He
argument
might be. Yeah.
because,
I'm trying to think of somebody, but
and it's crazy. He started out the season getting DNPs.
Yeah.
He started out the season playing garbage time minutes, and he has been a catalyst in just about every single game he's played in this postseason. Whether Haliburton was playing good, whether Haliburton was having a rough game, and they won. You know, a lot of pressure gets put on stars to perform in the playoffs. But if that star has a backup that can just come in and take all that pressure off, that's what TJ McConnell has been doing for this Pacers team the whole playoffs. And I just thought he deserves some love because he's been fucking like nothing short of incredible this entire postseason.
yeah. And so the issue with the Knicks now is a combination of things. It's the injuries are one thing. The injuries make them shorthanded. You're missing, obviously, you're missing Julius Randle. OG Anunoby's out. You're missing Grimes. That also hurts. But now you have this short rotation.
Wait,
which
Grimes is on the Pistons.
Right, not Grimes.
Bogdanovich.
Bogdanovich. I don't know how I got those two mixed up.
Stephen A'd it.
I don't know how I got those two mixed up. But yeah, you're missing Bogdanovich. And so you're dealing with this short rotation already, which Tibbs already does anyway.
Yeah.
Josh Hart sat like a couple minutes all series, and that was the game before last. So you deal with the fatigue of that. You deal with the brawl they were just in with the Sixers and how much that takes out of them. Their style of play, they've been playing hard and punking teams, which is their identity, is what they do. But that takes energy from you. And then you run into this Pacers team that wants to run you off the floor. And so I don't know how much just energy they'll have. So this bad shooting night doesn't surprise me because you can't expect them to have legs at this point.
Yeah, and credit to that. You brought up a fucking great point because game 1 and game 2, I even like the Pacers, like they lost, but they controlled the pace of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks were playing so damn fast that which it seemed to be, I don't want to speculate, it seemed to be a Thibs thing because when Josh Hart was asked during the first game, he said, yeah, we can play at their pace. We want to keep playing fast too. Mm-hmm. No, the fuck you don't.
You don't.
Like, you don't want to get in a track race with these guys. You're playing 48 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing 48 minutes. And what I just stated about, TJ, like they have 48 minutes of a point guard pushing pace with fresh legs.
Yeah.
Like you guys don't. And I'm curious why they just don't. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. Try to just slow the game down. I think that's their best chance. But the pace thing, the first 2 games, they were still playing, and they beat them. Credit to the Knicks. Obviously, Anunoby going down hurts, but at some point, like you said, Kenny, it's going to catch up to them. And I think today was the biggest example of that.
Yeah, because if you want to play at their pace, that's just a culture mistake in general. Because not only are you going to lose that battle because that's what the Pacers do. Also, your best bet if you're the Knicks is always to have Jalen Brunson in the half court, just being the tactician he is, and getting your guys and getting the opposing team into foul trouble, not aside from just scoring and the floater and all that stuff. And so if you're going to just play fast and play this other team's game, not only the fatigue aspect of it, but it's just not what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're trying to adjust to this style in the middle of a playoff series.
Right. Yeah, it's tough to, like, you can do it for games, but like to try to match their pace the whole series is really leading into the advantage of their depth for the Pacers and their style. Like they're comfortable. Like a lot of people talk about the Knicks being comfortable to play this big of minute workload because they've been doing it all season, but they haven't been doing it consistently at this pace. And this is and multiple rounds of the playoffs is different. The playoffs gets you more tired. You have to have a different set of energy and intensity and preparedness for this. It's like guys talk about this all the time. There's how much more tired you are after a playoff game than in the regular season. It doesn't compare. And to try to maintain this playoffs while you're missing multiple guys in your rotation who you could count on for 30 plus minutes, especially at the forward spot. Like it's they've lost 3 power forwards.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard. Like Josh Hart has done a very formidable job making up for a lot of those guys' losses, but those guys bring different things to the table that Josh just can't replicate. And no disrespect to him, but it's not his fault. He's doing his best, but they don't have anybody else who can fit that talent gap that they're missing there. And Siakam took advantage of that aplenty. 7 of 9 from the field, just going at their guys, taking advantage. One of the best finishers in the NBA. In the paint, and their guards are pushing the pace, and McConnell, Nembhard, Haliburton, and all these guys are pushing the pace and attacking early, using the hit aheads and getting the guys in early offense, and that's where they're taking advantage of the Knicks' lack of size as well.
Mm-hmm. And I just feel like if the Pacers get one in New York, it's over.
Yeah.
If they get one in New York, it's over. Unfortunately, I just think OG Anunoby's that important,
right? And
he was the move for a reason. And if he's out, and your defense takes that kind of hit, they still have a lot of great defenders. Shout out to DiVincenzo and McBride and all of them, but I don't know if they're going to have enough, man, without OG.
It's tough. I think. I like the Pacers in this series right now because of the OG injury. But, the Knicks have been an extremely tough home team. So they still have home court. And until the Pacers take one in New York, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. There's just too many injuries, same position, not enough pieces. They're gonna have to rely on Bogdanovic is down, so they're gonna have to probably rely on Burks to give him some lift off the bench.
Yeah,
he's done pretty well too.
Yeah, if there's any silver lining, it's that he got 20 today. Maybe he gets some rhythm going in for the next game.
Right.
And you try to control pace, and he's somebody who's felt comfortable. I mean, he's been around the entire league, so he's played all kinds of systems. He's comfortable doing whatever it takes. That's probably the silver lining. They're gonna need somebody off the bench or a Precious. He's obviously starting, but he still counts as an off the bench guy because he wouldn't be if it wasn't for this predicament, to provide some lift for them and just win them a half, a quarter, some spurts so Brunson can get a rest and Josh Hart can get some kind, even if they're on the floor, just some kind of load off of their shoulders.
Yeah, Josh Hart ain't getting the rest though. I'd say
no. He rested 24 minutes today, and it was because they was getting blown out. So that's 24 minutes too much.
Since the last time we spoke, all the awards have been given out, right? We're not going to go too in-depth on every award, but just real quick. So most improved player was Tyrese Maxey. Actually, let's stop right there. Because I said I wanted Kobe White to win an award. Me personally, it just takes away from the award when a guy you knew would be that good wins it.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and I remember the award like when Jalen Rose won it. He had been bouncing around the league trying to figure stuff out, and then 2000 he breaks out and he wins it. Or Jimmy Butler, just this role player, hardly playing a defender, and then he breaks out in Chicago and he wins it. Maybe that's just me wanting the story of it, and maybe that's me being selfish. I don't know, but it just takes away from the award for me. Like, credit to Tyrese Maxey, incredible season. I did say he's a star now. If not, I'm not gonna say superstar yet, but he's definitely a star now. Solidified, no questions asked. But you could kind of predict that happening as soon as the Sixers traded James Harden. So credit to him for filling in for that. So I'm conflicted on it because I'm not too mad because Tyrese Maxey did step up and do what he had to do, but I don't think there will be many people betting against him. Whereas Kobe White, for example, it was just a whole different story last year. He was considered a bust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he comes out and he plays like a star. He didn't get star attention because the Bulls weren't really winning like that. But I don't know. Like, what do y'all think on that?
I thought it was Kobe, because like you said, the improvement. Like Maxey was already like a borderline all-star player. Like he made his first all-star game yet. That was really great for him. But like he went from 20 points per game to 26 a game, and he's got 5 more shots a game from last year. Like that's it was an increase in role. It's like his 3-point percentage went down, his 2-point percentage went down. Like everything that bumped up was you can attribute to more usage, more minutes. But not to discredit him, like to maintain, like that's kind of efficiency and showcase like that consistency is a leap, is important leap, and some guys never get there. But he's like the spirit of the award. Like I feel like Kobe White embodies the most improved player a lot more than Tyrese Maxey. No disrespect to Maxey, I love Maxey, but I just felt like the jump from Kobe White, where like you said, people were calling him a bust. Like I thought he might get shipped out of Chicago. And they might have been done with him. A lot of people thought the same thing. But Kobe White went from 9.7 points per game to 19, and you could say the shots and stuff too. But he upped his efficiency. He upped or maintained his efficiency all over. And going from that, like the guy who wasn't a starter, he started 2 games last year, and he started 78 this year. Yep. Like he maintained the consistency, maintained the attention span of the defense, and the responsibility of the offense, and on a not good Bulls team like that. Right. That Bulls team had a lot of injuries, and he struggled, and they struggled because of that. But Kobe White was the bright spot, and I thought most improved player should have been his.
Yeah, especially considering the 65 game
rule.
Yeah, rule that has been obviously implemented. You got it. I think with that rule, it's a no doubter. It's Kobe for the reasons you stated. Like he was practically licking on his way to just being a perennial like 8th man in a rotation. Maybe out of the league, who knows? But it wasn't like the glass was definitely not half fucking full anymore for him. Like it was 3/4 of the way empty, and he filled the whole glass up this year. The way he performed, the way that he stepped up when Levine got down, when Lonzo was obviously ruled out for the whole season, providing not just the scoring, but the playmaking on better efficiency, all these little things that just made him that much better. And, if it wasn't for the 65 game rule, we talked about him a little bit earlier. Jalen Johnson should have gotten some fucking love because he literally he barely played his first 2 seasons, and then this year bursted onto the scene with 34 minutes a game practically, and just every single stat better. And my upset Maxey won it. Low-key, yes. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think we knew who Maxey was. The difference was James Harden was next to him. Like, we've seen this. Like, this is what it is. Yeah, of course, when a guy gets he's on the floor for the same amount of time, but he gets all this usage. Their point guard leaves. Their center, his MVP center, was out for half the year. Yes, he's going to look good. Yes, his numbers are going to look good. But don't tell me that, because Philly finished in the playoffs and shit. Like, that shouldn't matter for an MIP, particularly because when Maxey was by himself, that team was a sub 500 team. So, like, the record shouldn't influence anything. I think more things should be taken into context. And yeah, we're saying this like, Embiid was out, Harden left. How is that different from Kobe White? Obviously, Levine being out, Lonzo being out. It's pretty simple. We saw what Maxey was with those 2 guys there. He was still a borderline all-star. With those 2 guys there in Chicago, Kobe White was getting no minutes. Like he was getting 9-10 minutes a game, 12 minutes a game if he got hot, 15-16. Like, no shade to Kobe White. I fucking love him, but that's the most improved player. He literally went from that to a surefire second option on the team. So.
Now, defensive player of the year, that was a bit of a controversial one. here's my thing, right? And I'm gonna be unbiased about it. Obviously, Miami Heat fan. It is what it is. So it was gonna be between Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama, and Bam Adebayo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Victor Wembanyama, he did incredible things, right? As far as protecting the paint, phenomenal defender. I just don't know if I can hand you that award if your team's defense is bad. Because it's one thing to be the hero and save the day. And it's another one to not necessarily make your teammates all of a sudden be good defenders, but to talk on defense and kind of be the I don't want to say quarterback, it's an offensive position, but do the Draymond thing, like you're facilitating what guys do when you're calling plays out, telling guys where to be and all. And I just don't think Victor Wembanyama does that. I haven't seen him do it. And I'm not going to blame him again for his team's defense being bad, but I do think there's a difference. You can't really give a guy that award if it's not showing on the team overall. Yeah. Bam Adebayo, I think he should have won in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
2023, I think he had a strong case. I don't think this year was the year. Not just for the fact that he weren't winning. I understand them not winning. They had a lot of injuries, but their defense was not really all that good until maybe February. And so I don't know how much I can really give him the award for the full year. Now, the league owes him one. Just straight up. The league owes him one. But I can't really get behind just giving a guy an award because you owe it to him, because that kind of sets a bad precedent. So I think Rudy Gobert for sure just deserved it this year flat out. The Timberwolves have been one of, if not the best defense all year. There were times where Miami did get it together and they were number one, and then they would go back and forth from Minnesota, but consistently throughout the year, it's been Minnesota. Now, I understand Minnesota has other defenders. They have credit to Anthony Edwards, by the way. They also have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They have Kyle Anderson. They have Jaden McDaniels. They have all these perimeter defenders helping Rudy Gobert out. But just the difference between being the anchor of a good defense and the anchor of a subpar defense is just kind of, you give it to Rudy in that case for me.
Yeah, Rudy, I definitely had no qualms about Rudy winning. They were the best defense in the league, and Rudy is a very deserving candidate. I thought Wemby getting over Bam, finishing over Bam, was a little reactive by the media. Like credit to Wemby, sensational, incredible, unbelievable rookie year, stuff we've never seen on the court happen consistently with this guy. He's going to be a freak. He's going to dominate this award for years to come. The NBA media constantly has an issue with declaring guys next before they've earned it. And it happened with Evan Mobley before this, where they kind of crowned him the next guy because he had some flashy plays. But until you build this body of work, you don't deserve this recognition. Like Wemby was on an all defensive team, absolutely. Put him on first team or second team, whatever you think. But as the second best defender in the league, when your team he was on the court, the defensive rating was like an average team. Like you should be an elite defense with you on the court, and that's not completely his fault,
right?
Because you can only play with who you got on your team. But when Bam is playing with guys like you mentioned, all the guys on the Wolves, and you didn't even get to Naz Reid, Mike Conley, other you missed guys, and because that's how much talent and length and depth that team has, and it's a lot different than 6'4" Kyle Lowry, 6'1" Terry Rozier, 6'3", 6'4" Tyler Hero. Bam has to do a lot more with less defensively, and when he missed time and when he was off the floor,
they were terrible,
awful. They fell off a crater. Like I said, I think Rudy deserves it still. He was the far better, far more consistent defensive player. Bam's had better defensive years. But I think Bam should have finished second, and I don't think it was particularly close. Like that one play that gets shown a ton of times about Wemby in transition, the 3-on-1.
It was against the Grizzlies.
Hold on. Keep playing that clip. They got a layup. They got a layup out of that. Wemby overclosed on the 3-pointer attempt, and they pump fake, got to the rim, got a wide open layup. Like that's
the media thing you talk about. I didn't even know that.
That's rookie stuff that he's over jumping. That we've seen that stuff before. You got you gotta be patient with this guy. He's gonna earn these plays. If he stays healthy, he's gonna earn plenty of Defensive Player of the Year awards. But this isn't the year for him. He wasn't that caliber of a defender this year. He will be, but don't crown him before he's earned it.
Yeah, because then if he falls off a cliff, now you're blaming everybody but yourself for crowning him, like people are doing with Evan Mobley.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. Rudy deserved it. I think they fucking nailed this one. No questions. Best defense in the entire league. Like, credit to the other people around him too. Like, you don't get the number one defense just with one player, as we can see with Wemby.
Right.
Like he was their only defender, which I entirely respect and I agree with where you guys are coming from. I totally respect it. I don't entirely agree with it because I think Wemby was that special defensively. The team just did not fucking help him. With that being said, it irks me a little bit because Bam should have won that bitch in 2022. If we're being honest, he was the best defender by far in the league. Got no love, no credit. They gave that to. That was a smart year.
Yeah, that was
ridiculous. Anyways, then Jaren got it.
Marcus Smart is an incredible defender. That's not but that year should have been Bam.
Bam was literally on a different.
They held the games played against Bam, and then the next year Jaren Jackson played less minutes and less games
and got the award. It just, that's a whole different topic. But in terms of this year, like I don't think this is probably Bam's worst defensive year since he's become a starter. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty fair to say. I don't think he had the same level of impact on the game that he did the prior seasons. And that's not to say he was bad defensive. He was still
great. But...
Yeah, he was great. He was elite defensively. It was just he was a different tier. Also, the offensive load, Jimmy missing so many games, Tyler, a lot of reasons Bam was not himself defensively, the scheme switch. But Gobert did his thing, label of consistency the whole season.
Yeah.
Wemby will win 5 of these bitches by the time he retires, minimum. Like he's that special of a defender.
For sure.
The Spurs without him were a 121.4 defensive rating, which is 2 entire points worse than the worst in the league. And with him, they were the 10th best defense on the floor. So like, they're still not elite, but they're in the top third. I get the praise for Wemby. I do think it's a little early, but I also don't think anybody defensively had their fingerprints as much on games as he did. To me, the upsetting part, personally, is the fact that Chet Holmgren did not receive a single defensive vote.
Yeah, that's kind
of for
crazy.
First, second, or third place.
Nuts.
That is, if you're gonna give Wemby love, we got to give Chet love. Just off the premise they got the 1 seed too, and he's doing the defense.
Votes, man.
Sabonis got the voting.
Who? Man. Who the fuck gave Sabonis a vote? Man?
Yeah,
we need to see. This shit is public information, please.
Yeah, they usually drop it. I don't know what's taking so long.
This guy needs to have his name expeditiously removed. Let me be Stephen A. for this. Expeditiously removed, man. Like that's crazy. But Chet not receiving a vote. They gave Shea 2 second place votes. Shea is a good defender. He is not their best defender.
Nah.
Right.
He might not even be top 2.
We saw what this defense was last year without a rim protector.
Look, all due respect, and I don't know. You said top 2. You got
Chet's better. Dort's better. Payson's better.
You said Dort already. Like they have better defenders than SGA.
Yeah.
But and I'm glad you mentioned Chet because if you notice, I didn't even put Rookie of the Year on here because that was a foregone conclusion. But
for sure,
if I'm not mistaken, it was unanimous.
Yeah.
And that part's kind of crazy to me. I just feel like people missed Chet. Like he can get a couple votes now.
82 games played too, man. Like a year removed from not playing a single game due to a freak injury in a rec like a pro-am league or something.
Yeah, crossover.
Entirely playing every single game is an absolute fucking accomplishment, and OKC got themselves a good one with him. So
Yeah.
to me, it was just literally absurd that he got not a single third place vote when we have, guys like obviously, you said Sabonis, but like Shea getting votes over him. Drew Holiday got a first place vote. No shade to Drew Holiday. Derek White was insane this year for them.
Yeah.
Like they need to separate this entire award because some of these guards deserve more praise.
Mhm.
Herb Jones is not the 5th best defender in the association. He is better than that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. The NBA needs to learn and separate this award.
Mhm. And so we talk about SGA. MVP went to Jokic. That ended up being a lot more controversial than I thought it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had a vote, it was going to go to SGA.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Jokic had an incredible year. And I think the Nuggets would have been number one again, if I'm not mistaken, if they hadn't taken that loss to San Antonio, I believe, towards the end of the year. But, I mean, I don't have any issues with Jokic winning it again. I think that's another thing I wanted to bring up, too. I think voter fatigue has to stop being a thing. I just like if he wins it and he deserves it 4 times, and he won and he deserves it 4 times. I think it's his 3rd one actually, but it's his 3rd. Rudy Gobert got his 4th defensive player of the year, but yeah, voter fatigue has to not be a thing. And I always see the point of Kobe only got 1 MVP and Shaq only got 1 MVP. Well, it wasn't right back then either. And I think we got to start somewhere with us just giving guys the award when they deserve it. There's MVPs LeBron should have gotten that people just didn't give him because they were tired of him winning. That shouldn't be a factor. Every season should be something different. And we saw the conversation of MVP got so annoying last season as far as all the stuff that got brought into Jokic not winning it, and he hadn't won a championship yet, so he shouldn't win MVP and all.
Crazy.
None of that should matter.
Right.
None of that should matter to me. It should be just who deserves the award this season. In this case, it could have been him. It could have been SGA. I would have no issue with either one. It was Jokic. It just is what it is for me. But what do y'all think on that just real quick?
I agree. Like, it doesn't matter what they do in the playoffs. It doesn't matter if they've won it before. It doesn't matter if you didn't see that shit coming. None of that shit matters. Like, who is the best player? Point blank fucking period. And again, it was Nikola Jokic. I think he deserved it as well. Shea had this probably going to be Shea's best season of his career. Hopefully not, because I'd like to see him even get fucking better. That'd be great for viewers. But this was his year. Like this is probably the best Shea's going to do. And Jokic was still there. Like,
yeah,
Denver wasn't as dominant. They finished with the same fucking record. Like, Jokic had like 20 some odd triple doubles. Like it did not matter. It literally did not matter. Luka finishing 3rd place I thought that was your clear top 3. 4 first place votes for Luka. I understand. The thing, I think if the team was better, that's probably a team thing versus like a player thing per se, because where they finish in the rankings and all that stuff. If the Mavericks would have had the second half of the season in terms of team record wise for the whole season, I think Luka would have gotten it this year. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. Those were the 3 best players. I have no issue. I entirely agree that just because something is wrong in the past doesn't mean it should continue to be wrong now. Like, you learn and you try to fix shit. Like, you don't just like, oh, it's wrong, so we're just gonna keep doing it the wrong way. Like, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Jokic absolutely deserved it. I don't care who he ties and who he's behind, and MVPs aren't, in my opinion, they're not meant to be like, this guy's better than this guy because he has this many MVPs. That to me is irrelevant. Doesn't really matter. But, congratulations to Nico because he deserved it.
Frankie?
I think all 3 of them were really deserving. I personally think SGA mostly. because like you guys made great points. The same record and stuff. SGA didn't have a teammate who averaged 20. The other guys did. SGA led a really young team that didn't have a lot of playoff experience to the number 1 seed. And I think that counts. That should count for something. 75 games. They all played a ton of games, so there's no real deciding tiebreaker there. But I think Chet, they had a lot of young talent and young pieces, but I don't think anyone expected them to be the number 1 seed, and they did. And SGA was the lead catalyst there, is the offensive engine there. The only reason their drive and kick game works is because SGA is on the team and commands so much pressure. One of the leading paint scorers in the league. As a guard, it's him and big men inside. I just think SGA overall, and then defensively, like he's the more complete player of the 3. So that's why I leaned SGA in that regards. But I think Jokic absolutely deserves it. Like an offensive talent like we've never seen in this league. Passing, scoring, inside, outside, doesn't matter. Like the guy's insanely good. But I just personally think SGA. I just leaned SGA a little bit more.
And so, real quick, so Jokic kind of brushed the award off, and that kind of bothered people. Which I have to say this because people get mad at Jimmy Butler when he doesn't care about awards either. Players don't think the same as fans do, and I think the quicker we all realize this, the happier we'll be as consumers of basketball. No, Nikola Jokic doesn't care about winning MVPs. All these guys are here to most of these guys are here to win championships. And I just remember, and I didn't have this glamorous 5-star basketball career, right? But I remember like caring about your individual stuff not being good, right? And so when these players come out and actually say, I don't care about awards, I'm just here to win championships, I'm just not understanding the backlash on that comes every time. I just don't get it.
Everyone is different. Everybody views things differently. Jokic doesn't even care about basketball. He says it's a job. Like you're gonna, like he's shown you this before, and you're still gonna get upset at it. Like at that point, it's an unhealthy relationship you have with yourself. Sorry to tell you.
Yeah, no, legitimately, like he's nobody who's that good at the game. Like I know you're joking, but he cares about basketball. It's just like there's an expectation for every player to have this Kobe thing, which Kobe kind of expressed growth out of after he retired, to where like basketball is everything in my life and I have to be consumed by basketball. And it's just like, Jokic wants to be the best player in the game, win championships. You can tell by his style of play that he doesn't care about individual stuff and how unselfish he is. Like basketball is his job. He's good at it. He loves it, but he has other interests. And I think every time he expresses another interest, or every time Jimmy Butler shows up in a Fall Out Boy video or whatever, Jimmy Butler does a lot of side quests. People would just get so upset at, and even like the guys who make music, whether it's Dame Lillard or whoever, like he needs to be in a gym instead of like these guys go to the gym. Like they're not like, they don't have regular jobs like us to where all of their day is taken up. These guys, if they wake up at 8 in the morning, they can work out twice and be done with their day by 11 a.m. Like we just have to have a better understanding of this before we get mad at these guys for doing stuff outside. Like I saw the thing during the Miami Heat versus Celtics series where the Heat players went out to a lounge. It was a, and they won the next game, by the way.
It was a hookah sushi lounge. Like, come on.
And it was like everybody's mad at them. Like, you need to be focused. And it's like there are 24 hours in a day. And I don't think people realize how much downtime athletes have. And how, like, you're not going to work out 10, 12 hours a day. You're just not going to do that. So I just think we have to do a better job. Well, not we, like us on this panel, we understand it, but these athletes don't have to be so consumed by their jobs that just nothing else matters. And in this case, with Jokic's case, he is, when he's there, he's just focused on winning the championship. Like I said, Jimmy Butler's just focused on trying to win a championship. And I don't think Jimmy Butler's failure to win a championship up to this point should be a factor in it either. He's 34 years old. He's on his way out. He wants a championship before he goes. And so I just, again, man, like I just don't understand it. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe it's I don't know. But there's just this narrative that these players need to value these things. And it all comes from the stuff with the awards and the voter fatigue, this quote unquote legacy stuff. Just caring so much about a player's legacy, and now you get behind this guy and he says he doesn't care about winning MVPs. That kind of hurts your argument. So I guess so now but it's like, fuck that argument. Like, they're focused on trying to win, man.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's just that simple. But
yeah, Michael Jordan ruined basketball. I like what you're saying.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Playoff.
Wait, we forgot Six Man.
Not really. Naz Reid won. He absolutely deserved that.
No,
if you got something, you go ahead.
Oh no, because Malik Monk. Like, I don't think this was the closest race. It was like him and Malik Monk separated by 10 points. Only 2 first place votes separated them. I think Naz is a very worthy candidate. I just wanted to shout out him and Malik.
Yeah.
Great. This was one of the more competitive 6 man of the years. I didn't know who was going to win it, honestly. But shout out to both of them. Naz, 13.5 points, 5.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists. Phenomenal season. He's big catalyst for making the Wolves work. Just give him 48 minutes of 2 big lineups, and it's so difficult to guard. 41% from 3, a career high from him, just really expanding his range, and a career high 5 attempts as well. But credit to Malik for improving his playmaking, being a huge conductor for these bench units for Sacramento this season. Fortunately, got injured at the end of the season and couldn't finish the year. But 15.4, 2.9, and a career high 5.1 assists. Like, great year from Malik. Really interested in his free agency and seeing where he goes. But I just wanted to briefly get your guys' opinions on it too. And I know Naz is fun too, but I thought Malik had a great case as well.
Yeah, and Malik getting injured probably was the end of the Kings series also. So I am glad you brought him up for sure.
Yeah.
I just personally would have voted for Naz Reid.
That's fine. It's completely fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 fucking great years by both of those guys. I think, if I'm being honest, I think Malik should have won it. And just because we saw what the Kings team looked like as soon as he went out, at times he was their point guard. Like, even with De'Aaron on the floor, like, he was the guy playmaking, getting everyone involved. Naz was never being asked to be like the main option. He always had other people around him. But he still had he was firing that bitch from downtown like he hasn't in his career at that volume and that efficiency. A great season by him, and just a guy that I think deserved a lot more love than he didn't receive, to be honest. Bogdanovich was fucking stupid off the bench this year for the Hawks. The team was actually they were on pace to be a 46 or 45 win team when he was on the floor, which is crazy because they finished with 45 losses. But he was just that important to them. They were that much better when he was on the floor. He averaged 17, 3 and 3 this year on 43, 38, 92 splits from the line, played 79 games, was a big reason that they even made the play-in. And, I thought he deserved a little bit of love as well in this award. I think he finished 5th, but this was by far his best season.
Bobby
One of his
Portis
best
also
seasons.
had a great year.
Yep.
A lot of great candidates. I think it was a clear-cut top two, but the rest, there was a lot of guys around the league that were definitely deserving of their votes and their love and recognition.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Playoff File. I'm Kenny Spence. You can follow me, Kenny Spence NBA. Don't care if you do, though. Just make sure you subscribe to the show. Lou, where could they find you?
It's going to be as Saucy Takes on Twitter. Follow me specifically on Twitter on Playback too. Now that's apparently a thing. If you want to just chill a couple days, watch some NBA draft prospects, have a good time, slide through, man.
And Frankie?
Frankie G _ on Twitter. I will be joining Lou most of the time on Playback, reviewing these prospects, seeing who we like. We just watched Devin Carter of Providence and Jared McCain of Duke the other day. We're going to see if we can make time for to watch on the 13th on Monday night.
All right. And if you like the music throughout, that's my brother Devin. You can go to his Instagram, BlackGlowMusic, and you can download his EPs wherever you get music. And we'll see y'all next time.